tell him that we've been having phone problems. We call him. I don't know his name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hang up.
I'm gonna hang up.
No.
Hello, Drew. Can you hear us?
Yep, I can hear you guys.
Okay, very good. Then everybody's getting in and getting settled, so it'll be just a few minutes. And
Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yep. Sorry about that. I think we're having phone trouble, so we just decided it was easiest to call you.
No worries. Yeah, that works. And I'll just stay on this line then, and all good.
Sure, we'll keep you posted. Yeah, absolutely. Take a pen anyone you want. You need it on?
Calling the meeting to order. Can we have a roll call?
Dr. Genovese,
Here.
Mr. Kapadia,
Here.
Dr. Lilliston,
Here.
Mr. Peters,
Here.
Dr. Resnick,
Here.
Mr. Slotman, Dr. Stiliano, and Miss Williams Galliano.
Here. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provision of the Act, the Hopewell Valley Regional Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof communicated to the Hopewell Valley News and the Times on January 7th, 2026. This meeting notice was also sent to Comcast Cable and Verizon Fios. The board reserves the right to enter into executive session during all meetings of the Board of Education. The meeting is being recorded for the purpose of board review, future reference, preparation of the minutes, and viewing on YouTube Bulldog TV and the school district website www.hvrsd.org. Members of the public who intend to participate in public comment, we ask that you sign in prior to speaking. This will assist us in our record keeping. Please join me in flag salute. Can I have a first and second to approve the minutes from June 15th, 2026 meeting?
So move. Second.
All in favor? Any opposed or abstaining? Seeing none, the meetings are approved. Meeting minutes, excuse me. Do you have any reports, Dr. Treese?
No long report. I just want to say that I've been fortunate enough to attend some of the meetings in preparation of the builds that we're doing for the referendum. Very exciting. So I was in 2 meetings today, one for Bear Tavern and one for Tollgate. We are out making the plans. The plans are drawn, and we're just fine tuning at this point. So that's a very exciting step for the district. We have ESY in full swing. The kids have been coming for camp. Yes, and they're having a good time. And we have kindergarten camp in full swing. We're building roofs. We had a little bit of water damage, well, but we came through all the weather pretty much unscathed. So we're in a good place. So that's all the news that's fit to print right now.
Okay, that sounds great. I love the kiddos are running around the campus, as it were. And I'm very grateful that we did not have damage, because I know when you take their shingles off, as so to speak, things leak. Yes. Okay. Well, that is good news. With that, we don't have any of our usual reports, so we are actually jumping right into the first public comment. And I just want to remind the public, members of the public are invited to address the board on any matter for a maximum of 3 minutes during this portion of the meeting. You're asked to state your name, address, and municipality. In response to your comments, the Board of Ed may respond or direct the superintendent to do so. The board may also opt to take the matter up at a future meeting so that the matter is researched by the district administration. Members of the public who intend to participate in public comment, we ask that you sign in prior to speaking, as this will assist us with our record keeping. With that, guidance from our timekeeper.
I'll be keeping time for you. So at 2.5 minutes, I'll raise a yellow sign, and at 3 minutes, I will turn it red.
Thank you. Public comment is now open.
My name is Kara Lechusis. I'm a resident of Pennington Borough and now a past mother of 3 past graduates of Hopewell Valley. You may remember me. I came to the June meeting and I spoke about the German program. And Dr. Treese said she really appreciated hearing about the programs the community values. So I decided I would return and tell you about all the programs that I love before they're on the chopping block. And then I will also be back up at the second public comment to offer some additional thoughts on the 6th grade math placement that were raised at the prior meeting as well. Okay, so I mentioned that I'm a psychologist and I think about student engagement in terms of 3 basic psychological needs that we all have for autonomy, competence, and relatedness. And I wanted to mention the AP seminar and AP research program. It's a 2-tier sequence that's offered. 2 of my children completed these courses. They selected topics they were genuinely interested in. They conducted extensive research. They wrote substantial papers, and they strengthened their critical thinking skills and public speaking skills. These courses prepared them very well for college level material, and they were equally valuable for a straight A student and a student who sometimes struggled academically. My second program is boys volleyball. It's another really good example. Many boys enter high school with no previous experience playing volleyball. So it's very rare today with all the club sports and the training that occurs to have a sport that you can be a varsity athlete with 0 experience whatsoever. But boys also have a desire to play sports, to be competitive, to be cheered on by their classmates, to be a varsity athlete. And boys volleyball does that in Hopewell. It's also extremely economical athletic sport in terms of the fact that it doesn't require like extra insurance or, maybe a little bit extra insurance, but the gym and everything's all ready to go. I would love to see the boys team acknowledged with a banner in the gym, just like basketball and wrestling does, but I just wanted to call it out and thank the coaches for that one. My third is the Unified Sports Program. This Special Olympics program allows students with and without cognitive disabilities to compete together as teammates. My daughter served as co-president of the club, and she actually participates in unified sports at Duke University. So it lasted beyond Hopewell. And more importantly, she maintains the friendships that she formed that started at Timberlane through these programs. So I wanted to call those out and say that it really has lasting impact. And then finally, you already heard about the German program. So I would just recommend retaining the German program, especially it sounded like maybe it was in competition with French. And I'm not sure if this is true, but I believe that the AP German classes typically have larger enrollment than AP French, which to me signals that maybe students persist and stay on with German. Maybe it could be added every other year in middle school. And that's about it. So I'll be back.
Anyone else? Seeing none, I will turn any comment.
No, I appreciate you sharing all of this because that helps us in our thought processes. I don't see AP seminar going anywhere. The teachers that brought that here, unless they leave us, they're not going anywhere. In terms of the banners, I think those banners are there because of competitions one, correct? They're not just hanging there. Yeah, so they're not, they're just hanging. So I can, oh, okay. I can look into that. Okay. I'll look into that one for you because that's not a big one. Into banners. Because usually those are banners that have to do with competition. So if they're just hanging there, we can look into that. The unified sports team, I'm sure will not go anywhere. But if it did, we would have to replace it with something else that would link to the special education Olympics. But we picked this specifically because we like the interaction with all of our students in the integration. And then German, again, we will continue to nurture that. I don't want to lose another language for the high school. It's important that we have options for kids. The problem is staffing. And with that being said, you will see on the agenda tonight that we had a resignation from our Chinese teacher. If you all know anybody who is a native speaker that's that's a teacher somewhere else that's interested in applying, we may have to get creative because we have students that are already enrolled that we want to make sure they get through, and we will support that. We will make sure that happens. But if you know people, please send them my way because that's the problem with any of these world languages, including Spanish. It used to be you could at least find Spanish teachers. You can't find any world language teachers. It's very difficult. So I'm putting the word out, the all call. Mr. Sadisky, if you put that out, it'd be nice. All right, thank you.
Thank you. That it is always great to hear in advance. Just so thank you for that. All right, public comment is now closed. Are there any old business items? I'm so used to looking on both sides and you're all over.
Just looking at this with the applications for the open board members, there's the just kind of as a reminder, the Hopewell has a 3-year term and a 1-year term, and applications can be picked up here, but they cannot be returned here.
I think it might be a 2-year term. Does that sound right to you?
Oh,
What?
okay.
So 1 2-year term and 3
Oh,
3-year
yes,
terms?
1 2 years.
Yep.
Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And they need to be dropped off, picked up here, maybe picked up here, but dropped off at the county clerk's office. Thank you. And I also will take a moment to acknowledge we do have the invitation to individuals who would be interested in applying to fill the remainder of Miss Cotter's term between now and the end of the year. So you can send in a cover letter and resume to Thad and copying Gina, and we'll get you all on a calendar to be interviewed. I want to make sure that is covered. All right. Moving on then to consent agenda items. Can I get a first and second to approve all consent agenda items?
First.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed or abstaining? Wonderful. Those pass. And just want to check in with Mr. Capati. Can you hear okay?
Yep, I can hear you all.
Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move into committee updates. And that was lightning fast. Did I just curse us? I'm going to go ahead and pass on to Mr. Peters.
Okay, so just on finance and facilities, quite a bit of items for the consent agenda that are listed with some of the changes that are ongoing in the finance department. We are going to be meeting in August, and we're looking forward to it. So we're going to be talking about a whole lot of things that I know Dr. Teresa's been very much involved in everything going on with the referendum work, which is fantastic. Other than that, I'm going to keep this pretty simple. If you guys have any questions on the items on the agenda, I'm happy to answer anything, but most of this is just the annual items related to budget transfers and some awards of contracts. Nothing major to report here. Any questions?
I had a question about the school lunch prices. So for these particular school lunch prices, are these standardized with the other school districts in our area? Or do we know if there's a difference between these and other districts? Do we happen to know that? If we don't, it's fine. I could always.
I don't know it off the top of my head. It should be for our school district. As far as it's not compared to other districts in the county. It's compared within our own district.
So we set our own prices. We do
Right,
not
but we're-
standardize our prices against other school districts within our jurisdiction or within our geographic
Correct,
area.
but they are governed by the state. So I know sometimes we have to increase the prices whether we want to or not, and it's in conjunction with the federal state or the federal National School Lunch Program. So, just to kind of keep it brief, when we fill out the forms online, we have to put in our prices, and sometimes they get denied if they're not high enough or if they're too high. It would go either way. They kind of govern a range that it would have to be in, based on the information from our school district only.
Was there a particular concern you had relative to the prices? Just checking it. Okay. Gotcha.
I mean, for what it's worth, I remember when I spent 35 cents on lunch growing up. So how quickly the times have changed.
It wasn't good though.
Fair. That's a fair statement.
You didn't have farm to
Pizza.
table.
Pizza was
Didn't have any
always
farm to
good.
table.
Pizza's the same as it ever was. Okay, staying with you, Mr. Peters, for personnel.
Yes. So we just met prior to for the personnel committee, like we normally do, which is right before our board meetings. Couple just quick items to report. We did accept a retirement for Gwen Blecka, thank you, who's one of our paraprofessionals, and she has been with the district since 2006. So we very much appreciate all of her hard work and can't thank her enough for ending her career with us, which is great. You're going to see some other items on here, which are some roll call vote items that we'll do here momentarily for extracurricular appointments. And then similarly, all the health benefits waivers that we typically do around this time are all listed as well. And then last, we have our contract for our superintendent, which we're very excited to get past and continue on our journey with her. So thank you, Dr. Treese. Any questions from the group? If not, I think we have to do a first and a second, right?
Yep.
I have a first and a second to move this to a vote.
So move.
Second.
Okay, so Dr. Genovese,
Yes.
Mr. Kapadia,
Yes.
Dr. Lilliston,
Yes.
Mr. Peters,
Yes.
Dr. Resnick, and Ms. Williams Galliano.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Yay. Okay, moving on to education and SEL.
Now I'm going to have to punt this one to Dr. Belitzis.
Hi, everybody. We met on July 14th, and so we had the Achievement Network, or ANET, which are the consultants that we've been working for the elementary literacy program. So they reviewed the selection process, and after an extensive evaluation and pilot process involving 19 teachers, the committee unanimously recommended adopting arts and letters alongside foundations to support our district's literacy vision. So we'll be doing a 3-year rollout. just due to financial implications. So we're going to be starting with grades 4 and 5 this year, then 2 and 3 next year, and then K and 1 the following year. We also discussed the importance of implementation with fidelity, including embedded supports for our diverse learners and our professional development. So we will be training the grade 4 and 5 teachers during opening days. However, we are offering an alternative optional trainings in August. And again, people can attend that in lieu of the opening day PDs. So we'll see how many we get for that. We also had a wellness update. Mary Pankos, who is our supervisor of wellness, shared updates to the health education parental opt-out process. To align with the state standards, the district will improve communication by posting curriculum materials and opt-out forms online, clarifying any timelines and requiring sign requests based on sincerely held religious beliefs. So we're just trying to be more transparent and consistent for all of the families. Dr. Pankos and Matt Aron, who is our supervisor of math, they spent considerable time reviewing middle school programming and student achievement. So they compared Timberlane Middle School with similar I districts. I know everybody has been asking about us in comparison to I districts. So what they did was they found 3 different comparable districts to us that were in the same district factor group, same population totals, similar schedules, and they highlighted our strengths, which was in our geometry and JSLA performance, but they also identified opportunities to improve in math and in ELA. So what our next steps are based on their analysis is we're going to reach out to the administration at those 3 districts to talk about like how are they scheduled, their master schedule, what are their intervention structures, and what are their tiered supports that they're offering. We will, Mary and Matt will then do a follow-up with the Ed Program Committee in January after gathering all this data and identifying trends and come up with the 27 and 28 school year plan. All of that information you can find on board docs. I'm just giving a brief summary of that. Matt Aron, also our math supervisor, reviewed our middle school math pathways and algebra participation. So we really talked about just ensuring equitable access, refining our placement criteria. We had a conversation about refining our criteria for 6th grade math placement for not this, obviously it's too late for this school year, but for the following school year. And he threw around some ideas, but he's going to solidify that plan in the fall and come back to Ed Program for any sort of comments or feedback. Did I miss anything? Who were people who were there?
No. Great. It was a great update. Do you have any SEL?
I was helping with busing during ESL for ESY. Sorry. The latest information is I actually met with a local psychiatrist last week because we're always trying to find new partnerships. So we just board approved him, and he's going to assist us as an outside contractor for psychiatric evaluations and also risk assessments if we need to send students out for the next level. So that was a win for us, just to have another resource for our kids.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thank you. Any questions, folks? All right. Seeing none, we're going to go ahead and move on then to government and community relations. Mr. Kapadia, do you have anything for us?
Yeah, I have a couple updates. So in this past month's meeting, we talked about a couple different ongoing initiatives. Firstly, we talked about the post-referendum communication strategy. We're still working through some of the details, but I think there was some real consensus on the committee as well as from Dr. Treese and the administration that we want to make sure that given that we've had a successful referendum, that moving forward as we start to execute the projects and spend our taxpayers' dollars, that we make sure that we're actively communicating back to the community what some of the projects their dollars are funding. make sure that folks know that the referendum is passed, and now there's actually going to be some capital improvements that comes with that whole process. The second piece, we talked about the ongoing initiative with collaborating with Mercer County Schools to have there be a joint programming and joint academic event for our students. Still fleshing out some of those details, but we're in the process of collaborating with Young Audiences, which is a Mercer County-based nonprofit that we have had a prolonged relationship with, as well as other neighboring districts in Mercer County have. So we're looking to schedule a date sometime, I believe, in the spring, and we're also still in this whole entire process collaborating with County Executive Dan Benson's office. The last piece is the most exciting, and I'll have more remarks to share when I'm in person next month. But as of June 30th, when the New Jersey state budget was passed both by the legislature and then signed into law by the governor, Hopewell Valley was one of 10 districts statewide to receive a direct line item in this year's budget. It's a huge deal. Last year, we had received $125,000 to partially fund a ADA accessible playground at their tavern. This year, we submitted a request for $75,000 to continue our partnership and expand our partnership with Attitudes in Reverse, which is a mental health and suicide awareness nonprofit here in Mercer County. And so we were able to secure those dollars. It was incredibly exciting. Last year, Governor Murphy signed $728 million worth of line items, and this year, Governor Sherrill signed around $330 million. So for us to have gotten our ask included in was a pretty big deal. And like I said, we were one of 10 districts in the entire state to get this type of funding. So really, really proud of this initiative going through. Incredibly grateful to the Baker family for being partners in this and just having contributed so much to our students' well-being over the course of so many years. And I'm obviously very thankful to the district and the administration for their partnership in this request, as well as my fellow board members for pushing this along. And of course, the 15 legislative districts, legislative delegation from Senator Turner, Assemblyman Borelli, and Assemblywoman Reynolds Jackson were all co-sponsors on the budget resolution. Senator Turner actually submitted it and got it over the finish line. And really, the backbone behind all of this were the parents and the community members who were sending emails to our legislators. So, if you sent a message, if you made a phone call, all of it goes a long way. So we're incredibly appreciative. Happy to answer more questions on that. And like I said, next month I'll have some longer remarks. But I just wanted to express my gratitude and share that good news that we were able to secure that funding.
Thank you, Mr. Kapadia. That is incredible news. And I think you're highlighting the budget difference between last year and this year, and still having an opportunity to receive the benefits of our Air Dogs program. Extending that will be incredibly beneficial to our students, or continue to be beneficial. And I can't acknowledge the government and community relationship committee as an entity enough, because I think it's really done a wonderful job in helping us stay focused on all of the changes and how do we need to communicate, and what might make a difference for our parents and our community to understand and know about what's changing. And in this case, making sure that we're also communicating up, as it were. So really great work from the government and community relations team with Mr. Kapadia's leadership. Okay. With that, we have a separate government relations, and I think that was a mistake. So we will go on to Paula.
Anita,
Yes.
it should be climate.
That would make way more sense. Awesome.
No problem. So even though it is summer, I just wanted to highlight some of the activities that our climate committee is doing this summer. So there was a sustainable school cafeteria conference at the College of New Jersey on July 15th. And we were represented there. Also coming up on July 22nd, which is just 2 days away, New Jersey's Interagency Council on Climate Resilience and the Girl Scouts Heart of New Jersey are hosting a webinar, Extreme Heat and Protecting New Jersey's Children and Teens. We are also represented there, and if you can join us, please do. It should be a really interesting webinar. There will also be a New Jersey Department of Education Climate Literacy for Community Resilience Grant Program, basically at the end of July, but it says date to be determined, so I don't have a date on that yet. But we will be having representation at that also. And then finally, there will be a fall retreat for the Climate Action Green Teams at the Watershed Institute in the fall, and that'll be taking place on October 12th. And so I'll be sure to update us on that also. So even though it is summer vacation time, our climate team is very busy.
Awesome. This is the season, as it were, to be outside. So I hope so. Any questions from anyone? Okay, moving on to policy, Dr. Lilston.
Okay, so the policy committee met on July 9th. We were joined by Ms. Riley and Dr. Politzis, so thank you for joining us. Before I move into the policies up for first and second reading, we did review the student code of conduct, as I touched on briefly at the last meeting. And in particular, we discussed consequences for tobacco use. So this is something that Ms. Riley had lifted up I think 2 meetings ago, is an area that she wanted to talk about with the policy committee. So really, regarding tobacco use, Ms. Riley noted that we're seeing an increase in vaping, in use of tobacco products, likely due to sort of both increased detection as well as, legalization of cannabis and just more use in general of tobacco products among youth in the community. After discussing 2 months ago with Ms. Riley, she did reach out to other school principals just to do some research, figure out what other districts were doing in this area and what the consequences looked like in their code of conduct for tobacco use. So what she did say is that across the board, all districts are seeing this. This is incredibly common. However, districts are varying quite a bit in terms of how they're responding to tobacco use. Some are implementing fines, some are partnering with community-based organizations around prevention. We're seeing some that look similar to our policies, but there's not a lot of consistency. So generally, they are trying to decrease use of exclusionary discipline, like suspensions, in school and out of school, but they are seeing increases in violations across the board, not necessarily causally related. So I think what she did recommend is that we wait another year before making any changes. And during that year, we review our own data. So continue to see sort of what violations are coming in this area, but then also see just where other schools are landing so that we might think about how we can align with other districts in our area. So we decided that we would go in that direction for now. We did also discuss potentially doing more work in the prevention space in this area, including building on our current work with the Municipal Alliance, potentially engaging them around additional prevention strategies, since we are doing some work with them already in this space. The other thing that we talked about was thinking about how we're implementing our restorative justice practices, if there's any gaps, if there's additional areas where we can be implementing restorative justice, and sort of what that looks like in terms of consistency across schools. So I think that's something that we'll be having sort of ongoing conversations about. I think within that same realm, we did talk about just thinking about whether community service could be an appropriate response to some of the infractions that we're seeing. I think, we have sort of mixed thoughts about it on the policy committee. I think on the one hand, people thought this could be a really nice sort of practice to help students learn from these experiences, to sort of move through these experiences and do something really positive in the community. On the other hand, I think there is some concern because we have this service learning pathway that we could have like an unintended consequence of sort of creating a perception that volunteerism is associated with disciplinary infractions. So I think that's something we're continuing to discuss and to think about. And if we did implement that, what would it look like? And what would be the processes for doing that as well? As we would have to think about resources and oversight and how do we assert that the work is actually being done. Before I move on to the policies for first read, do my policy committee colleagues have anything to add to that? So Anita and Duruv's on the phone.
No, that was a good summary. Thank you, Dr. Wilson.
I think the interesting, I think it is such a worrisome shift. And also I'm really proud for the discipline that we're taking in kind of waiting and seeing and not overreacting, because we are doing already some really good and important things. I think it is also a natural response to just discipline. And again, I applaud the committee as well as the board for generally taking a look at making sure that we're not and overreacting is the wrong word, but using the incorrect method for tapering or educating our children into different behavior, right? We want them to choose well-being and not necessarily drive them in a particular direction. So I just acknowledge the patients, but while staying very actively engaged in this space, along with other districts who are finding the same increase. But also, an important point is that we have improved measures of identifying the problem, and so we don't want to overreact as if this never existed, because we just don't know. So having some continuity of data collection, I think, is a very responsible action. So I thank you for leading us there.
So Anita, you kind of answered my question. So it sounds like we're not sure whether we actually have an increase or we're just better at detecting. Is that what I'm hearing you say? And so we want to see another year of data to see if we are seeing increases, or do we actually know we have increases?
Sorry, I'll allow Dr. Crease to comment, and also it is definitely, we know some of it is
an
better
increase.
Yeah.
So Principal Riley said they have been, as they add smoke vape detectors, finding that more kids are smoking. And we're actually finding kids shifting from the vape pipe, because it's expensive, and the cartridges, to actually going back to smoking cigarettes, which we had gotten away from. Like, that wasn't the thing, and now it's a thing again. So yes, tracking data is one thing. It is detection, and the kids are starting to consume more nicotine. So that's worrisome.
Mr. Kapadia, did you have a comment?
Yep. Sorry, I was just going to add on to what President Williams-Galliano touched on in terms of there being a real. I want to applaud the rest of the committee as well as the district for there being a real willingness to engage on some of these restorative alternatives. I think this has been a conversation that's been going on now for at least 3 or 4 years, at least since I've joined the board, where especially through the policy committee, we've talked about how we can be introducing meaningful restorative measures for students rather than being overly punitive. And I'm excited to see how in this next year, as we continue to work with Principal Riley and the district administration to really flesh out what community service as being an integrated part of the student code of conduct really looks like, and how it actually plays plays out. But I just wanted to put that out there that, we talk a lot about Hopewell being a leader in how we introduce new best practices, and I think this is another exciting opportunity where we may be able to have a really sustainable and meaningful a pathway for students to engage in their communities and learn lessons from decisions they make when they're still growing and going through school, rather than holding extracurricular access over their heads or removing parking privileges or taking them out of the classroom, which I think everyone on the board and everyone in the administration really we understand there are some shortcomings and some better approaches that we can be taking. So I'm excited for that component that Dr. Lilliston mentioned of seeing how community service can be integrated in the code of conduct.
Yeah, we don't want to lose track of the fact that this is about our students' health, right? That's what we care about here. So we want to focus on what works, right? And so that's what the conversation is. Thank you, Mr. Kapadia. Okay, so now we'll move on to first reading. So can I have a motion and a second to move policy 2200 for first reading and regulation 2200 for first reading abolishment?
Motion.
Second.
Okay. So policy and regulation guides 2200 have been combined into a rewritten policy guide 2200. And so this policy guide describes the board's responsibility under state code for the design and delivery of curriculum and instruction needed to address the New Jersey student learning standards. So for example, a board is required to make all approved curriculum pacing guides and citations for core instructional materials publicly available. In addition, we're required to provide students with access to advanced coursework. So the committee is recommending that we accept policy 2200. It aligns with state code as well as the district's current practices. At the same time, we are moving regulation 2200 curriculum content to first reading abolishment, and this is to reduce redundancy as these provisions will be covered in the new policy guide.
So I'm going to ask a clarifying question because it's been coming up over the last couple of months. To the extent that this policy requires the board to review and approve the curriculum, in practical terms, does it require us to review and approve what appears in a catalog as courses that we may offer and what those courses are? Or does it require us to review and approve what courses are actually being offered every single year?
You do approve all of the course catalog and all of that every year, but you don't go through every curriculum guide. You don't do that, but you are approving or
but more
yeah.
more the question is not really about the guide. The question is, do we approve what's in the catalog and could possibly be offered if there's
Yes.
sufficient enrollment, or do we approve what is actually offered
Yeah,
every
it's
single
the
year?
actual versus the list.
We approve what could potentially be offered because we don't usually approve it. So we approve all of the curriculum at the September board meeting, and then we do the program of studies for the following school year in January. So it might be like we are putting all the courses we could offer, but we won't know if they're running until they do schedule it.
Yes. So I don't know if it's feasible to make that clear within the policy, because the policy has to reflect the state regulation. But if it's possible, I think that I think we should clarify it.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions or comments about this policy guide? Okay. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed or abstaining? Okay. So we will move on to second reading now. Can I have a motion and a second to move policy 5460, high school graduation, and policy 5461, high school diplomas, for second reading, please?
Motion.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. So we reviewed these policies at the last board meeting. We have not received any edits since then, so they stand as they did for first reading. Are there any questions or comments before we move this to a roll call vote? Okay. Can we have a roll call vote, please? Thank you.
Dr. Genovese,
Yes.
Mr. Kapadia,
Yes.
Dr. Lilliston,
Yes.
Mr. Peters,
Yes.
Dr. Resnick,
Yes.
and Miss Williams Galliano.
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes.
Wonderful. Thank you. Oh, we abolished our. Okay. I need a first and second to move on to the July and August calendars.
Motion.
Second.
Finance and facilities. EdCom, SEL.
Could we do the morning of the 11th? Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, because we could start the retreat at 9, right, Rosetta, on the 12th? So could we do 8 o'clock on the 12th? Okay. Is that good? Okay.
Government and community relations.
How does Monday, August 3rd sound?
What time? Sorry.
I mean, we can do it in the morning just to keep it at the 8 a.m. if that's helpful.
Do you want to do it 9 Eastern or?
Whichever, I mean, whatever time works for y'all. I'm good for that morning. Yep, that sounds good.
Okay, and policy.
11th in the morning works for me.
Okay, I think we have everybody, right? Sounds great. All right, all in favor? Any? Thank you. I don't think we have anybody abstaining, so we're good. All right. Are there any new business items to cover? Okay, seeing none, we're going to go ahead and move into our final public comment. And as a reminder, members of the public are invited to address the board on any matter for a maximum of 3 minutes during this portion of the meeting. You're asked to state your name, address, and municipality. In response to your comments, the Board of Ed may respond or direct the superintendent to do so. The board may also opt to take the matter up at a future meeting so that the matter is researched by the district administration. Members of the public who intend to participate in public comment, we ask that you sign in prior to speaking. This will assist us with our record keeping. And as you remember, yellow at 30 seconds to go and red when you are out of time. So with that, public comment is now open.
Kara Leitusis, Pennington Borough. Professionally, I am a member of the committee updating the standards for educational and psychological testing published by the American Psychological Association, the American Educational Research Association, and the National Council on Measurement and Education. This document includes 2 essential principles related to 6th grade math placement decisions. One is that high-stakes decisions should not rely on a single measure. The second is that students should have the opportunity to learn the material on which they are tested. Despite having multiple measures, both of those principles were violated in the implementation of the prior 6th grade policy. My own child was impacted by this decision 10 years ago. Despite earning a 5 on the state standardized test and scoring better than 90% of Hopewell Valley students, which is the highest score, despite having an A+ every single marking period of 5th grade math, despite having her teacher's highest recommendations for 5th grade math placement to 6th grade, she was denied access. I appealed that decision and was told that it was because of her performance on a district developed test of 6th grade math and pre-algebra, classes that she had not taken and had no opportunity to learn. It still baffles me that a child who continued to excel in math through Calculus 2 at Hopewell and on all of the standardized tests you could imagine, had her confidence undermined based on this district's policy. She is not alone. My neighbor, who is now a PhD student in statistics at Harvard, had the same thing happen to her. I raised these concerns to 2 of you in 2016 and in 2018. After the last board meeting, I reread all of our emails and reviewed the updated policy, and I am sorry to say it appears to be no better and may in fact be worse. Before spending valuable resources on outside consultants to review the math placement or gifted and talented programs, I would encourage the board to look within our own community with Mathematica, ETS, and several universities nearby. Hopewell Valley has residents with both the national expertise and firsthand experience who may be willing to contribute. I am one of them. Policies that impact math placement are the most consequential decision that is made in K-12, bar none. If you don't take algebra in 8th grade, you have limited opportunities. Thank you for your service to the board. And remember that some of the expertise and data you seek live within you. Thank you.
Any other public comment at this time? Do you have anything you would like to say? Dr. Politzis, any comment? Oh.
Oh,
Sure.
there is a reason I want to take this, and I want to thank you for your comment. one of the reasons I ran for the board is because I had the same experience. And I'm not going to go through the details because Vicky might have PTSD. But we've spent 3 years kind of trying to address these things. And the situation today is better. It's not perfect, but it is better in several specific ways. My first problem is that we were making a very consequential decision going into grade 6, and you're absolutely right. If you, and folks here have heard me say this ad nauseum for 4 years, if you do not have an opportunity to take calculus in high school, you're at a significant disadvantage applying for any STEM programs in any serious college, and we were making that decision for our kids going into 6th grade. That is no longer the case. There are significant opportunities for kids to move and adjust during middle school in terms of what track they're on. Oh yeah, it was absolutely the case for your daughter. It was also the case for my 2 oldest kids, right? But that was, so I know exactly what you're talking about, but that is not the case today, right? Today, there are opportunities for kids who go into middle school and demonstrate that they can do the work at a much more advanced level to go ahead and take algebra and even a geometry, even if they were not placed at that advanced level going into 6th.
And okay, I just want to make sure.
Right. So we've so we've addressed that. Right.
Hold on. I just want to make sure that it is our policy not to go back and forth, just because that is the standard that I hold through all meetings. So I appreciate we're kind of in a more casual setting. So just but also I want to make sure that you address that those changes were made this year.
Those changes were made. Actually, some of them were made 2 years ago, and we continue to implement them going into this year. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We also changed the way we place kids, so that the majority of kids who do not need any special help in math while they're in the elementary school are kind of in that middle track, that if they progress in that middle track, they have an opportunity and an option to take AP Calculus, right? And then we have some kids that are actually ahead of that, and then we have some kids who are behind that, but we do progress that. And the third thing that we do track is there were significant discrepancies between the elementary schools in terms of the percentage of kids who are going into this program. So we track that. Are we perfect in that? We're not. We're also recognizing that we're not perfect in the way we evaluate kids for Math 6. I think we've gotten better, and I'm encouraged by some of the things that that Matt is trying to do. I also don't know that there's really a perfect solution. What makes me feel a lot better is that if our kids are not properly placed coming out of the elementary schools, there are mechanisms in place during middle school where that can be corrected, so that by 8th grade, a child who can handle Algebra 1 in 8th grade is actually able to take Algebra 1. A child who can handle geometry is able to take geometry. And then I know that Matt also presented some further changes in the last committee meeting that provide even more flexibility to the middle school. So at the middle school level. So I wanted to address the fact that where we were 10 years ago, we are in a much, much, much better place in terms of the math program now. We continue to improve that. There are still challenges with the placement, having now been kind of in the middle of it and seeing everything that's going on, I'm not sure there's a perfect way to really evaluate that. But we continue to look at things. And your last point was that, yes, kids need to be tested only on what they learned. Right, they need to be assessed only on what they learned. Yes, that is also being addressed and has been addressed.
Thank you. And I wanted to speak on behalf of the Miss Miss what am I drawing a blank on your last name? Miss Latusis. Thank you. We have made a lot of changes since a decade ago because there was a lot of gatekeeping in this district in a lot of areas, and we've been fighting to try to make sure that we're balancing that for folks, that it's not just based on one test. We are doing a much better job now, and we are leaning on a lot of expertise in the community. We're not perfect, but we are looking at what other districts are doing. Some of it is going to have to be a shift in the way we think about things. Yes, other districts are doing a lot better than we are in math, and that's not something I'm comfortable with because I'm competitive, if nothing else. And also, we're looking at the way that they schedule students when they are not successful and thriving, and that is taking electives away and placing them in support classes while they're taking the math, letting kids wave in and they're taking that support class. And we've kind of had this this culture in Hopewell that we want to have all the things and we want to say no to those supports that will get you to those higher levels. So I want to allow more parents to make the decision for their children and say, my child wants to take this risk or take this challenge. It's not really a risk, this challenge and wave into the math. And I want you to be supported in that. I don't want a kid to get frustrated, to get in over their head, and then they don't try again. So we're balancing all of those things. I don't think we're going to be perfect, but there are districts who are doing it better than we are, and we're leaning on them to look at what their master schedule looks like, how they're remediating, how they're supporting, and how they're creating those opportunities for kids to reach for that next level and to challenge themselves.
Yeah, I just want to underscore this master schedule piece.
Yeah,
That was a huge factor. So, is there anything that you want to add? Your co-parent. Awesome. With that, we're going to go ahead and close our public comment. And I need a first and second to move our board into executive session.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And we will be reviewing, let's see, I think we just have some HIBs, and that is it. So no action will be taken. Thank you all for the evening.